The compound effect of this one idea will change the entire trajectory of your life. About 4 years ago, I'm walking out of the Greenwich Library. Now, I work from home, fortunate to have great space, but every so often I like to get off campus a little bit. I'm walking out of the Greenwich Library, and I remember getting in my car, and I was just like over the top excited. I felt enthusiastic. I was on another level, right? Fired up. And I was trying to determine why am I so fired up? And what I realized is I had spent time in the library getting clear on a project that I was working on for work, right? And I was getting clear on sort of what that looked like, end in mind, some of the steps that I would need to take to get there. And what I realized, big breakthrough for me, I realized that clarity is power and a lack of clarity is crippling, right? I'll say with certainty, the times in your life when you felt best, you've been most clear on what it is that you want and what it is that you're after. And the times in your life when you felt worst, you've been least clear about what it is that you want and what it is that you're after, right? Clarity is power. A lack of clarity is crippling. I had a friend of mine, last I'd spoken to her was high school. She reached out to me a few years ago and we're making small talk. We're catching up a little bit. She says, Pete, I hate to bring this up. I know you lost your mom a couple years ago. So I'd lost my mom a couple years prior to the conversation I was having with her. And she said, I'm going through a really challenging time in my life right now. And I'm just wondering, like, what did you do to get yourself back in the game, so to speak? And I had spoken with her since high school. And, then she asked a loaded question like that. So I was like, whoa. And I took maybe 3 seconds. And I said to her, clarity is power. I said, let me explain. I said, after my mom passed, mom died relatively suddenly, right? The next 4 or 5 days, as you'd imagine. I mean, I was rock bottom. It was not only my mom, it was my best friend, and very much going through the grieving process, which I'm still going through the grieving process to this day. But I sat at day 5 or 6, I sat in front of a blank piece of paper and I wrote what I believe is the most powerful question that you can ask yourself on top of the paper. I asked myself, what do I want? And I took about 45 minutes and I was just writing and writing and writing everything relative to health, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, relationships, business, finances. I mean, everything you can imagine. What do I want? Right? And guess what? After 45 minutes of writing and answering that question and getting clearer on what it is that I want, guess what? I felt better. I felt better. Now, did it replace the loss of losing my mom? No, of course not. There's nothing that will ever replace that. But did it make me feel better? Did it allow me to feel better? Absolutely. Why? Because where our attention goes, our energy flows. When we go through something that's challenging in our lives, when we're going through adversity, our attention is on the challenge, is on the adversity, and our energy follows that. And that's why we feel very stale or stagnant or down or depleted or depressed, right? But just as a product of me getting clear on, hey, what do I want? What am I after? What is something that I think, mom would be proud of? What is a life worth living? How can I live with purpose? Just as a product of getting clear on that. I said, where attention goes, energy flows. So my attention was now on, what do I want? What am I after? What am I striving for? Right? And where attention goes, energy flows. My energy followed that and I felt better, right? Clarity is power. A lack of clarity is crippling. I think we'd all agree on that. The question is, well, how? How do we make clarity work for us, right? Conceptually, you understand what I just said, but more importantly than conceptually or philosophically, it's the implementation, it's the application. How do you make clarity work for you? Here it is, as simple as I can give it to you. Intention, assessment, improvement. Intention, assessment, improvement. What am I talking about? At every major turn of time, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, inserting that cadence, okay? Let me show you what the alternative to that would be, okay? Let's just use a month as an example as far as a period of time. Most people set little to no intention before the period begins, right? Now, and I'm talking about intention. When I say intention, I'm talking about detailed, dialed in intention, personally and professionally. What do you want that month? What are you after? What are you aspiring for? What are you striving for that month? And if you're not setting clear intention, then at the end of that period of time, in this case, a month, there's nothing for you to assess because you didn't set clear intention. And if you're not assessing regularly, consistently, and objectively, then your rate of growth and improvement is dramatically reduced. It falls off a cliff. Right? Now, fortunately, just the opposite is true. Before any major period of time, in this case, a month, if you set very clear intention in terms of what it is that you want, what it is that you're after, you're clear, right? Personally, professionally, what would be a meaningful month? What would be a great month? If you set that clear intention before the month begins, well, now, at the end of that month, there's the opportunity for you to assess because you set clear intention. And two things are going to happen in your assessment. You're going to have hit the mark on some of your intention. And so you're going to be able to acknowledge that and celebrate that and allow that to land and feel good about it. You're going to have missed the mark on some of your intention. And that's okay. It's not about being overly critical or beating yourself up. But in your assessment, now you're able to determine, well, how come I missed the mark? Why did I fall short? What could I have done better? And in that assessment, you're going to determine opportunities for growth, areas of improvement, little shifts, little tweaks, little modifications that you can now carry with you into that next period of time, in this case, a month. As simple as that sounds, let me tell you, in 15 years of intense research on higher level growth and development, if I had to share one thing with you, it's that intention assessment improvement. And I've shared it with a lot of folks, and a lot of folks sort of are conceptually, they'll say, wow, that's cool, but they'll write it off because it sounds too simple. But the folks, be it clients or anyone that I've spoken with, that really make it work, that really implement it, their lives have changed. It is a very stark turning point in their lives. Why? Most people sort of bang their head against the same proverbial wall, right? 3, 4, 5 years, banging their head against the same wall, whether it's a relational wall, a financial wall, a marital wall, a health wall. They'll bang their heads against the same wall over and over and over and over again, right? Then they might read a book or go to a seminar and the speaker or the book or the author says something. They're like, wow, I didn't think of that, right? And instead of banging my head against the wall, what if I were to sort of walk in the side door over here? And it's a huge breakthrough for them in their lives. And I say, that's awesome. But here's the deal. If we implement intention assessment improvement, instead of 3, 4, 5 years of banging your head against the same wall, it might only be 3 or 4 or 5 days or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks before you setting deliberate intention. And as a result of being able to assess objectively to say, hey, how come I'm missing the mark? Why am I hitting my head against this wall? What can I do better? When you're doing that, not only year over year, but you're doing that quarter over quarter and month over month and week over week and day over day, your rate of growth, your rate of improvement, your rate of meaningful progress absolutely takes off. You get to a completely different level with it. So, what do we say? Clarity is power. Lack of clarity is crippling, right? We all know that conceptually. How do we implement it? How do we apply it? Well, intention assessment improvement is how we apply it, right? Again, just when people are operating by default, which most people are, that cadence intention assessment improvement, maybe they do it like on a yearly basis. Like the new year comes, so they'll set New Year resolutions. There's the intention, right? And then they kind of go out over the course of the year and they do the best that they can, all, well-minded, well-intentioned folks, but they'll kind of just go out over the course of the year and the year will happen, right? One year after another. And then they'll come to sort of the end of the year and they'll do a light, modest assessment. Oh, how did I do? I didn't really quite hit the mark. Let me set intention again. Let me set New Year resolutions, right? And so that intention assessment improvement, when you're operating by default, it's kind of happening in very slow motion. But when you take that same cadence and you do it yearly, intention, right? Quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, now all of a sudden, your rate of growth, your rate of progress, your rate of development and improvement is on warp speed, I'm telling you, for the folks that I've seen implement it, for myself, right? You do this for 3 months, intention assessment improvement. When you're doing it for the quarter, month, week, and day, you do that for 3 months, you're going to change the trajectory of your productivity and progress, let alone doing it for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. You will absolutely amaze yourself at where you're at. Put it to use, try it, let me know.